why should we immediately focus on creating this federation that will
I am not for it, that Ask fan.
I'm not directing that at you, Ekin, you're fine.
Okay.
Why should we focus on building this federation that will only give
Hey, did you just listen to what I fucking said at the beginning of the debate? We aren't focusing on the federation.
You said you would drop it, and so you said you
we
would
are dropping it.
But you never said you would. Oh, well then why was it ever something to begin with? It was just a bad, rough idea that would put us in a worse area than when it started.
It's something we would have planned out, but as I've seen people give backlash, I've realized that's a lot more of a burden on us than it should have been. And I understand that, and I'm learning from my mistakes. So we are going to focus internally. Also, now that I have a chance to speak, you did say something about me focusing internally more than externally in my term. That's not true. Why do you think we got involved in the UF in the first place? Well, we are the ones that dissolved the Anvil Concordat, and we are the ones that got involved in the UF, and we're the ones that backed out of the UF because it was a bad fucking deal.
I mean, the UF, but you understand that both of those things involve backing out of bad ideas like the Anvil Concordia.
That's what is done in geopolitics,
right? which like not to bring semantics into this, could be defined as being more isolationist than not. I seriously just thought
I wouldn't call that.
I really get where you're. Hey, I really get where you're coming from, but the thing is, if we were truly isolationist, we wouldn't have gotten involved in that in the first place. I would have never joined those discussions to begin with.
I'm not saying that we.
I was all for the UF until we actually found out that Iraka was behind it, and that's when I pulled out because it was a bad idea. I was perfectly fine with a federation before that point.
I would like to say something on this.
Oh, you're
that is not isolationism or isolationist, as he was doing mere geopolitics. At the time, the UF would have seemed as a good idea, but with Iraq's heavy involvement being seen, he backed out. That was a mere geopolitical move. I don't see the isolationism. The isolationism was just look at the UF and say, alright, that exists. That is the isolationist way of doing things. With geopolitics, that was in fans thingy. Like moves were geopolitical. First he was interested, all for it. Realization of Iraq's involvement, backs out. That's what happens. It is just the thing that happens commonly within just complex geopolitical situations such as this region. In this region's history, or other regions' history.
I'm not saying that. I don't really think you understand what's going on there, especially coming from a criminal bandit, even.
No, that was specifically for war raiding during the coalition.
I mean, you still have the role, do you not?
Yeah, it's permanent for like 30 days.
Have you ever attacked an Oceanum citizen?
No.
I believe I have proof that I think you hit me once. That's good. That's good enough for me.
Wasn't that a high five? The closest I've been is somebody stabbed me before I got the bandit roll, and I stabbed them back. That was like the closest thing.
But I think that one of the main misunderstandings of the words isolationism is how they have been used, because the proponent of isolationism, me, I use it in a way where I'm saying we should focus on ourselves first and then outside next. And I think a lot of people hear this and are immediately like, oh, we're going to ignore all outside problems. And that's not what we're saying.
Don't call it isolationism. Isolationism means that you work yourself outside of it. What you are saying is that basically, let's just do internal
Akin, what sounds better? Let's just do internal affairs. That's my motto. Or isolationism first, right? Like, you know, that sounds. I don't know. I think having it.
You can say that you're isolationist, but then
you could have made a motto instead of
the other thing.
You could have made a motto instead of using a more heavily associated with different meanings word.
I didn't come here for your campaign critiques. I'm just saying that it sounds
Well,
Like,
we came here to debate our campaigns. That's like the whole point of this
Yeah.
fucking debate.
yeah, well, I didn't come here for you to like critique my campaign slogan. I came
That's
here to.
the idea of this debating is
Let's move
basically
on
looking at
let's move on from
holes.
isolationism
Hold on.
to external affairs. Let's talk about what our external plans are.
Right.
Region
Generally, everybody here dislikes the USSC, but from what we can tell, at the very least, from yesterday at least, they don't really, the USSC specifically just doesn't care that, they just look at the ocean and are like, oh, okay, it exists. It doesn't
about
much
Alright.
matter.
They don't
Trani
care
is a
about us.
different issue, though.
They don't
Yeah,
care
they're
about us
not-
until they have an opportunity to use something that we did not do to declare war on us and destroy our fucking country.
Yeah, I mean,
Wasn't that before?
I'm sorry, but they did it once, right? And they got Caledonia out of it. And they got Caledonia and Oceanum out of it. What do you think they're gonna do again? They also have Santos basically under their thumb because Michael,
Is batshit insane?
yeah, basically. I wasn't
we don't
gonna
like
go
the
that
man.
far, but like, yeah, basically.
I do not like the man. I have made speeches with him, but that was social manipulation so I could get him into an alliance. That's
Yeah,
besides the point.
I think everyone has agreed with him at one point just to get him out of their face.
I haven't even spoken to him before. I've
Don't.
heard a lot of
I would
horror
recommend
stories
not
with him.
doing that.
Bad idea, fan. Bad idea.
I've
Okay,
heard plenty of
so
horror
the
stories about him.
Additionally, no. The difference is that I'd say currently that most of the USSC just has one bigger issues because number one is the coalition has shown, not the coalition, the Iraqans' aggression in the Northeast has shown. When it has a strong leader, it can do a lot of things, and that is currently a higher priority for them. And Santos is currently a different priority because it's a neighboring nation with a batshit insane person. Like, oh, opportunity.
I think one of the best parts is that we are currently very secure from Iraqan aggression because of the coalition. Even though the coalition is now defunct, everyone remembers.
It is there just in case.
Yeah, right.
That
Everyone's like, oh wow, we're like, it happened, and nobody likes Iraq, and everyone's made it known because they dropped them out of the Eldham top.
We're certainly safe from Iraq now, but they're not our biggest threat. Our biggest threat's the USSC.
It's definitely the USSC, which is why I kind of want to go into this topic.
I could get them.
So
there's a lot of things.
What is everyone's here's like opinions on, as I would like to phrase it, the Sotrianan problem?
Currently, Satrania, while Satrania is, we can't really do much about it. We simply have to wait and see how things change because they're under the protection of the USSC, and I would definitely prefer rather than to directly attack or attempt to annex Satrania. Just wait.
Yeah. It's actually pretty interesting that you bring this up. I mean, as you remember from my term, I was very adamant on integrating them into our country. But now that they're kind of a puppet state of the USSC, I say just fuck them. Like, just let them do their own thing. Let them kill each other. It's not our problem anymore.
They have like one city that had a like, population of 2. I don't think they're relevant.
Yeah, it very much is a falling nation state that is in a worse place than they were with us, but they just despise us for some reason.
No. Okay, here's the thing. From what I can tell, I'm talking to Traurig, Booper, and those people from Sotrania. They don't they'd rather be a protectorate than be directly annexed. In that sense, it doesn't matter for them who it is. They just want to have their semi to full independence.
They didn't care who it was. As long as they were separate from us, they were fine.
Yeah, if they're separate as an entity, generally.
I want to bring up.
Don't they have a separate thing?
What are our plans to counter USSC influence in the region?
Well,
by trying not to.
That's where my whole point about strengthening our external ties. Like, while not making any more, I think the current allies that we have, we could definitely put up a fight against the USSC. And, I mean, as it currently stands, Crusader, you were already talked to about some guy from Iraq. We don't need to, like, talk about his actual motives, but we already know that Iraq is taking interest on pouncing on the USSC at the first chance that they get. And now that they're out of the Eldham Entente, that only strengthens their kind of fuel to attack.
You can make them fight each other.
it's only a matter of time until it happens.
Whenever
see
one
it-
of them becomes a threat to us, we can pit the other against it.
I
Okay.
That
see
is what
what
we will
happened
do.
in VC that night as Uraka simply trying to get another vassal out of this situation. I don't see it as them trying to like bait us into something, but I do see it as they were essentially just trying to get us to be their vassal. I do think that Uraka, if given the opportunity, will definitely go after the USSC because they're essentially the only people in Eldham at this point that can solely threaten their existence.
Yeah.
So essentially, a war between them is inevitable.
Yes, I would recommend just we could do a couple things, like purely externally. Option one is we stand there and just nudge them closer to that war, so they will be weak for a while. But that opens the risk when they recover, whichever nation wins recovers, that they'll just pounce on us yet again. The other option is that we try to be quote unquote neutral. I don't know if that'll work too, because it is a bit more tenuous for both for the people of those two nations, or their vassals more likely. From my one singular private talk with the now stroking on the floor Neo, their vassals are the main ones that wanted land from Oceanum.
Yeah, I
So that's
think it's
also taken
interesting.
into account.
I
So
think it's interesting that you point that out. I don't think we should be playing sides in this because
yes, just neutral.
the a war in this is essentially inevitable. We don't need to take sides in this. We shouldn't be nudging them to each other.
Yeah, I'd rather have us be the regional power that looks upon this and is the curator of whatever result happens in the rivalry. That will
Mm.
put us in a lot more, both prestige-wise, because of the fact that we're curating the two, like one of the two more powerful nations, just standing there and like
Okay.
chunking
Well,
in
What
equal.
of
But I don't.
what of
It'd be hard to do. You could pull it off, but
in the situation we got out of Othmer, I would honestly say that our main goal isn't to become a superpower. Our main goal is to survive, because Othmer left us in a really bad state. We've been at the lowest point in our history. Well, not in our history, but in the last like 5 months, this is the lowest we've been.
we didn't exist. We didn't exist for one of those last 5 months. I think this is the second lowest. But yeah.
We didn't exist because we essentially owned the Commonwealth, which was something I was opposed to because the Commonwealth's essentially dead weight. Most of it was inactive, which is why I opposed it. It's a lot. The thing with the Federation,
Weird.
it would be a lot easier to manage a Federation because the other side's actually active. With a merger, we have all this land, we have all these people that don't.
Do
These
anything.
people don't essentially like us, which is why it dissolved the moment that they actually got an opportunity to leave. So
The main ones that
that's essentially why I was opposed to it.
it
Uh-huh.
was that wasn't really how it happened. If anything, um,
What basically
it was
happened? Michael was
the,
doing his insane shit,
it was
and
if I
keep
may
going.
speak,
Yeah.
it was the first and foremost. It was outside factors, rage, grab too much in too little time, and that's what got us. If it wasn't rage, I seriously think that if we just focused on ourselves internally and strengthened external alliances, which for whatever reason rage did not support at all.
You can't really pin this on rage. You had a lot of power
Yeah.
in the government and you chose to do nothing.
That's really not true.
Okay,
Rage,
it's a bit-
Rage
You're the one that made
Okay.
Othmer. You're the one that came back to make that.
Personally vouch that Keyboard and me attempted to make alliances.
We did a lot of things.
Shut down by Rage.
Yeah,
We even
a lot of
attempted
this
to
was
get
talked
Earl
about
back.
in VCs and stuff. And shot down
You
by
still
Rage.
had the opportunity to take him out of power and you didn't. If
That
you
was-
see him going in the wrong
that
direction,
wasn't support.
you
that
should have
wasn't-
made a better effort to deal with
That
that.
wasn't.
All right.
That
You,
wasn't
Most
support-
of this.
after a
Okay,
few,
can I say
that
something?
was that
Yeah, go
wasn't
ahead.
support.
I'm gonna say this as a more. Okay, I was less powerful than them in Othmere, but I knew just as much. Mostly because I was either outright fucking married to one of them or friendly with them in lore. Like they're directly their friends. From what I can tell, most of the issues we currently have with Rage are due to a in part hindsight of what happened with Othmere. I'd say that. So just outright saying, "Oh, this was an entirely bad idea. Why didn't you do anything?" would be, in my opinion, partly disingenuous. On the one hand, if he had gone into it, he might have been able to suggest to Rage that, yeah, this is probably not going to go well. They'll want to do some other stuff. But without the vision of hindsight, it would have been far more difficult. He probably didn't even have the idea.
I mean, I
According
can
with the
go
rest of the
back
commission
and I can look over all of your mistakes and be like, why'd you do this? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do? But like, that's not how this works because we always learn and we always are moving forward. First of all, and
The
second
fog
of
of
all,
the future is always
and second of all, I
deadliest.
seriously still believe that every time I made a decision at the moment, I believed it was the best decision available. And
Yes.
I'm not saying that.
All right,
I
you believed it was the best decision, but I was strongly opposed to a merger. I told you why I was opposed to the merger because it's giving us all this dead weight, and you still went ahead with it. The
Dead
things
weight
I
did.
did, say Citrania was my biggest mistake. Citrania was definitely my biggest mistake, but
I think
at the
the way
time
you phrased it
everybody
to
was
me
on board with that.
was. I think the way you phrased it to me was two gifts and like something like "Don't merge with them, idiot." And I was like, "What?"
Fair.
You can
All
definitely
you
check
did
the
after you
Manning
stopped
Council.
being petty was
I,
that.
I definitely told you why I was opposed to it. I told
Yeah,
my entire cabinet why I was opposed to it.
I
You were
wasn't.
definitely there for that.
I wasn't
No, he
part
was
of your
dead,
cabinet.
or pretending to be dead.
Cuboid
No,
had
I
access
wasn't.
to all the channels. Cuboid
Yeah, that's
talked
it.
in all the
I was.
channels. I saw him talk there every other fucking day.
I was in Eleanor and I barely ever noticed. I just went in and it was like, "Oh wow, he's doing this now. Good for Fant."
All
You
right,
know
all
what?
right.
Good
If
for
you're,
Fant. I wasn't paying like direct attention to everything you did, Fant,
yeah, no,
because I
I
didn't
definitely
realize
get
that
that.
was my job.
I
But
definitely get that. But if you're going to do something like a merger 9 days after I left office, I've gotten plenty of offers from State Stream to do the merger, and I still declined. You should have done more research on why I declined, because this is something that could completely fuck over our nation.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I had like no say in this. I
You
He
did.
just
signed the
he was told
you
to
signed the
write a
I
fucking
did
constitution.
document,
in
dude.
the end. I did push to it, but that was after listening to both like Shota and whoever, and
Rage.
it was
You
it was
literally came
Rage.
back to do it. You
Yeah,
came back to
I
do it.
came back because nobody. What it was is Shota puts me in the Discord, right? And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, why am I here? And he's like, you're my advisor. I was like, okay, I guess. And then I notice, and I'm like, okay, is anyone doing anything for this? And he was like, no, but I want it done. And I'm like, okay, well then I'll write the little booklet and I'll get it done for you.
Hmm.
And because you put me in there, I wasn't like coming in and I wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm back to force this merger and put myself in power. No, I mean, sure,
Yeah,
being
no.
being back in the politics of this nation, of this amazing nation, really made
Was
me
it?
realize how grateful I am for this and how grateful I am for
Hmm.
these
Speaking
people.
of Offmere,
But
wasn't
like,
Crusader one of the main like pushers of this?
not entirely, no.
It was.
Yeah, but still, I want to know what his opinion on it
Crusader's
currently is.
main reason, if I remember correctly, was that we were all. It was that the majority of Oceanum citizens were I mean, sorry, the majority of Caledonian citizens were citizens within Oceanum, and
All right. Cuboid,
Alright, that's
I'm
fair,
just
I
gonna
guess.
say something. You bring up that you like love Oceanum and all. If you loved Oceanum, you would do more research into why a merger was a bad idea.
but I did.
You can
Why?
shit on the Federation all you want because that was a bad idea to put that in my campaign promise, especially in such an early stage. But you
Yeah.
you can't say that and not pretend that the merger was a good idea because you didn't do your
We didn't.
research.
That's definitely not true though.
Okay,
why
sure.
would you think that I'm the guy doing the research? I'm gonna go through whether I liked it or not. I just greased the wheels. I'm not like the end all. You're acting like I was the leader
You're
at
the
the time,
founder of Oceanum. You should have
but
taken
you're
more
acting.
responsibility for what you let on.
Why should
He
I
had been
take
in.
responsibility for a nation that I was no longer leading? Does does Obama come back every time like Biden makes a
It'd be
mistake and
more
it's like,
like
oh
George
no, you're doing it
Washington coming
wrong?
back from the dead and just not caring
Yeah,
about
right.
the
Like,
U.S.
yeah, no, it's
So,
even a better reasoning,
Yeah, I
right?
think
Like,
we
You
should stop arguing about the merger.
you had a chance because at this point everybody looks up to you. They see you as a voice of reason. All right. You could have said something. You could have like done your research. You could have told them, okay, this doesn't work. The thing about like George Washington coming back, he's fucking dead. That guy can't come back to tell like Obama that something's a bad idea because he's fucking dead.
But why do you think
Tyrion
that
literally came back. You said you faked your death so you could come back.
No, that was
It
Didn't
doesn't
he?
work.
Didn't he
That
fuck
comparison
around with a
doesn't
bunch
work.
of dragon
no,
people for like 2 months?
that was definitely like that was actually a completely different reason why I faked my death. But and then I came back like a month later. But that's besides the point. You're really just you're taking the timeline out of consideration. You're taking all of this out of consideration so you can attack me personally because you don't like one thing I did personally that I didn't have a lot of say in. You're making
You definitely had a lot of say in it.
I didn't have a lot
You
of say.
definitely had a lot of say in it. You could
I
have
don't.
done your research, like I've
Well,
said. You
okay.
had
If I
access
had
to
come
all the
in,
You're
channels.
repeating. Can I say
We are
something?
repeating. I think we should move on because people are asking us to move on.
I think
Well, no, but this is very obviously just you attempting to like win whatever battle this is, because
The battle is the debate, and I am trying to win the debate. You're right. Let's
no,
move on.
but whatever
Isn't the
personal
debate supposed
battle
to be
against
about
me this
modern
is, because
matters?
you have some personal anger against me about this one situation, and you're really just taking me out on it, out, out on shit, get out on me here.
Aneurysm. Wait, do I have
you.
it?
And it really is confusing me because I don't see why you think that when I've told you like roughly 5 or 6 times that there wasn't much I could do, and you keep coming back and saying like
You could have done your research. You could have told him it was a bad idea because he
even if
really
I
looked up to you.
I want to say something.
I
This
did.
debate.
Oh my god, I did my research and I really didn't think it was a bad idea because at the moment I don't because at the time I didn't think it was a bad idea, and you can look back on Oathmere and for the internal reasons it did a pretty good thing. I mean, sorry, for internally it did a pretty good thing. We were able to get a lot of people back and more involved, and we were able to get like people to start building roads again. We got Caledonia
There's like 3
re-inhabited.
layers of hindsight here. Okay, we're supposed to talk. Number 1, there's like 3 layers of fucking hindsight on top of this. Number 2, we're supposed to talk about modern matters, not.
I think we should move on to
and maybe
Yeah, let's move on.
yes, right. Let's continue. What is the next question that the people wanted to ask? Let's see.
Yeah, what question do the people want to
It's
answer?
Ecrima's party. I'm voting it. All right. I that was not on purpose. I just looked at a random message. I am incredibly sorry, but
Military reform. All right, let's talk about military reform.
all right.
Okay.
So
Number one
personally,
thing-
my plan for military reform is just to do what every nation has done before: is train up people in training sessions, and then have them train up others. It's basically the exact same strategy that every nation ever has employed to train up their military. Because there's no other way to do it.
All right.
Yeah, no,
there is
I
a
think
problem that we have here. One of the main things that is always relevant in Minecraft Warfare. This is mostly from experience from seeing the organization of the Coalition, which was a large-scale military union between countless of nations. One of the main things about it. All right, that was Freshy. Sorry, he pinged. And Pong. They created an elite system. I would like to implement that in a way where we have our best PvPers. We rank them, and whichever we believe to be fit for being elites to be put in that category. But we will have to do tournaments, be it just in PvP Legacy, we just look at them and then rate them.
yeah, I
Just
actually
fighting.
suggested the
But
tournament thing in my first term.
yes, that is
That didn't really work out.
yeah.
The thing with that, I got pretty lucky and Altera showed up and kind of gave us a good like 15 really good soldiers, but now they're gone. I think part of the process of making our military like actually work is recruiting new players that have PvP proficiency. Um, I also think that bringing back a lot of the generals that I had, like Ichiro's a really good general. He just didn't show up to our battles. I also think Oodles is a really good military planner. Um,
I'm
I'd
getting left
certainly
out.
put them in charge of some part of the military.
I'm getting left
Um,
out so hard here.
yeah,
This is
sorry, I'll
over a
let you
moment.
speak now.
No. In the fucking generals thing, I was just there menacingly in that entire like fucking.
One thing I do want to do for the military is I'm probably going to remove Shota from the marshal or the leader of the military role because so far he has done absolutely nothing. to help the
Yeah, no,
military.
the problem I had with him in my term, he knows what he's talking about, except he's really inactive, and
Yeah.
he's only active on an inconsistent basis. Like the first time we won a battle, we lost, we almost lost by the hair of by the fucking like
The
hair
hair
on
on
our
the
head. All right,
nation.
yeah, whatever. Moving on. We almost lost because Shota had like 10 sets of armor that we needed,
And
and
he
he
was
didn't
logging
show up
out.
to the fucking battle. He wasn't even on until like 12 p.m., which was like way past when the battle ended. We still won, but it was only because of the proficiency of our fighters, which is not something that we should be banking on.
And that proficiency is gone because Altera is inactive. So we basically like
Oh
I'm pretty sure
no,
that
in Lord they died of
even
plague.
good peers. Maybe one or
Yeah.
two.
We've essentially lost all of our good PvPers, which is why I propose I will essentially just go into game and DM every fucking new player that there is. It might be
Yes.
annoying, but it'll get us new players.
Pretty
It's
Yes,
the
sure
most
that's
I would
effective
like to
way to
also say a
advertise.
thing.
I'm pretty sure
We
that's
need to
also
keep
bannable.
the new players.
That's definitely bannable. Like,
Yes, but
It's
we also
not.
need to keep.
I've actually seen Zamat's doing it.
Alright, I wanted to
Zamat's
say.
has
somebody
actually
hasn't been
admitted in
reporting
DMs
this
doing it.
month. What the hell?
I was about to say that we need to
Yeah.
keep them in some way. For example, I allowed for anybody if I win, which chances are wacky. That we will try to create more events besides the usual that happen periodically every other week. If there are any special events that somebody can think of, for example, Crusader had something planned. If let's say I win, I won't cancel that. I'm just plopping it in the schedule. You do it. Same goes for any other people. Additionally, I would like to create more smaller ranks to show progression, tangible progression in the hierarchy of our government. Because a lot of the time, one of the main things that keep players, this is a bit meta, is them thinking that they're fucking important or having some sort of title that sounds cool. Let's be honest. And on the other hand, it also shows like a more tangible and physical manifestation of their progress in the nation. So I believe that would also keep a lot of players. And additionally, we be friendly as humanly possible. Additionally, this will also make us indirectly seem friendly because we're allowing them to have positions of power in many ways.
Yeah.
For example, that's why we added the lieutenants. That is one of the reasons why I believe why the lieutenants existed. It was one, just in case if the general was just dead IRL or some shit, and two, to give another position. Alright,
so you're talking about adding on bureaucracy, which I definitely think is a good idea because it'll allow peoples to get more active in the government and basically new blood in the government. Because if you look at the Oceanian elections, it's been the same people just constantly.
Me and Shota are like the only
people
two
run
fucking
each
different
election.
people in the past 3 months.
I don't think we've had anybody new in like the past. It's been pretty cool. Like,
Me and Shota showed up like
a few
3
new
months
people in the
ago.
last, like, yeah, no, we have had new people show up, but the main problem with putting new people in the government, new people don't run. We keep having the same people running. We can't force people to run because that only puts shit leaders in our government.
Well, I think
That's
that
why
would
we
solve
create
that is if,
merit-based
like,
bureaucracy.
Okay, moving on forward. What about the concern? Oh wait, sorry, I just have to check the audience. What about the concern of the Oceanum security? I would just like to bring forward first my personal concerns about the organization, seeing as it has very little oversight. The entire organization is entirely loyal to one member of our government, and it just generally doesn't. It's not very democratic. There's almost no way to get in it if you're friends with Blitz, and I don't know. It seems like interesting, to say the least, that we have very little oversight there. We don't.
Where
really
is
know what's
Blitz?
going on there.
Yeah,
Where is that?
I want to further say that Blitz has already begun centralizing his power within the government. So I'm
Good for
very
him.
suspicious of his actions. So
Good for him, but not for us. So,
Yes,
Something that I wanted to get to my
the
last term. You can speak, Tyrion.
I would be fine with the Oceanum Security Bureau if we didn't if it wasn't, first of all, if it wasn't a bunch of people I do not know, who have like either aren't in the Oceanum Discord or are just loyal to Blitz and just backing, and it's very much when Blitz reports something to us, how do we know it's? I mean, as much as I feel like I want to trust the guy, how do we know what he's saying is true? He came in Oathmere, just joined, and then the second it switched to Oceanum, he just changed his entire identity and what he supports, just for this like reasoning of what feels like power. At least everyone else has stayed somewhat consistent in their belief, even if like there have been some slight changes. Like
I believe there is an in-lore reasons for this, and an outside lore. In lore, he's a young motherfucker who saw the nation that he was born in collapse when he was like, what, 18, 17? And that would have likely changed his views a lot. Outside of lore, he would have likely seen Othmir's fall and thought, what went wrong with this? And then change a lot of his thoughts on it. For example, you changed significantly. Not as much as him, but he's comparatively newer to you. And unlike me and Oodles, who fucking talk about political theory outside of the server, so like our views would change, but not as much as him. He would change comparatively to me and you a lot more. Or to
I'm sorry, but like...
One of the things I feel that Blitz is like his vast shift in ideology, I think, is going to be a thread that's going to continue on. Like,
it's going to, I mean,
I think he's going to shift his ideology to support that PD to gain favors or favor that.
Just to put it into example, he was very much in agreement with Unholy for a while, until the election cycle started coming up, and then he immediately begins opposing Unholy.
What if I have taught him well? Alright, besides that, it seems he's just doing political moves. This is... this is not unusual.
It's kind of funny that you bring up political moves, because you guys did the same thing to me and Oodles. You essentially said, alright, you will start running immediately after that. You switch up on us, and you guys essentially announced that you're running together. You basically just led us on to believe something, and then said the complete other. You said completely.
I'm not involved in this.
You said chillax thing, basically.
I'm sorry, Fan, but what you're saying there is false, because we had a very exact reason, which was the Federation. Now that you've put the Federation out of mind, I think that Unholy and I are fine with you. Despite my disagreement with your selection for your Secretary Prime Director, you would be a good leader. I just very much disagreed with this idea of Federation.
So, alright. The thing with that, you definitely made that clear, but you also did other shit to, like, you essentially lied to me, alright? You lied to me to get me out of your ticket because of one thing that I said that you could have, you could have, like, alright, you could have made a compelling argument against it, but instead you kept saying fucking cope.
He would... okay, here's the thing. You fuckers are not taking this seriously.
I'm sorry. I believe I did. And then, like, you didn't see it, and I thought you did or something.
Alright.
I am very sorry about that.
Alright. Okay. I would like to say something about... This is, like, completely out of the fucking debate. None of you fucking people will, like, even have an ounce of RP, which just leads to two of you just spamming memes and this being the main attention of what you fuckers do. Like, this is the things that you guys remember.
I don't need to roleplay every second like the fucking rat speaker.
Like, first of all, we're not the rat speaker, and second of all, RP most takes in-game, or at least it's supposed to. A lot of these channels are, like, out-of-character stuff for very obvious reasons. Like, we're not making, like, jokes like, oh yeah, like, we're not talking about, like, Ireland and RP, right? If you want, we can definitely make the RP chat more primary focused and, like, move it to, like, in front of Oceanum General or something like that, but,
Yeah, I mean that you get... Okay, here's the thing. When you add RP, you indirectly think, what would my character, or what would I in this situation, completely seriously, like, if it wasn't a block game, what would I do? So sometimes you fuckers just spam me. And then the other person forgets about the non-meme part.
I do that when it's actual politically important, and not when it's... it's not when we're just haha.
Yeah,
I'm
no, I
saying
absolutely
coke
agree.
for the
No.
sake of saying
If we have
coke.
like a serious thing to discuss, we don't spam memes. How do you
Yeah,
think
right,
we
like-
got in the positions we did? Nobody would take us seriously.
Oh yeah,
Nobody took me seriously before the election, and then after the election, everybody fucking took me seriously.
Yeah,
Because they
because
could see
you
that
went
I could
from
actually do
serious
shit.
man to
like,
funny man to
you won the
serious man.
election.
Fan will spam memes until he's like saying something really important. Then he completely see. And I highly
sees the
respect that
memes and
guy
it
because
continues
even
on.
I don't have. Like this guy has stayed in power just for doing.
I think we should move on to something that actually like matters.
All right.
I mean, we can have discussions about meta, but that's
I'm
not
sorry.
really that's not a candidate thing.
Just this isn't candidate related at all, but this is the prime directors here. Can we move Rage's trial back a day because it's 20 minutes from that, and we're still like in the heat of a discussion.
Anyway,
Yeah,
I would like to bring up the topic of
Yeah.
how Fant is going to, as in his words, increase relations with our alliances. Is that going to be like, are we forming an alliance with the ones we've already signed defense?
Oh,
think-
well, all right. We're not forming alliances with anyone. We are only strengthening the current alliances that we have.
He
Whether
doesn't
that
want
be
an
through-
SDA moment to happen. What happened with USSC where there are taxes and the rest of the SDA just did not care. He wants that not to happen.
Crusader, I think the kind of like neo SDA thing you were doing was a really good idea. I think that's as far as I would go with any of that. I'm pretty sure people have already signed on to that, like you said. We'd keep that in place because it's essentially the SDA, but not the USSC's puppet.
Yeah,
So-
I've invited
Oh.
Razuni as well.
Thingy
Seeing
pong.
they're going to sign it as well. So
All right,
we're going to have pretty much all of our allies.
We'd work on increasing the effectiveness of that to kind of like stray away from something like the SDA where you have half the alliance actually joining in on a war and the other half just kind of sitting on the bench. I'd also work on doing joint military exercises further down the road when we actually get a decent military.
Yeah,
That's
one of
definitely
the
something that I'd
points
like
in
to
the
work on.
If
Also,
I'm correct, I'm like C minus or C and.
So, Fant, this is something that I didn't hear, from
Uh-huh.
you,
Yeah.
like just earlier. What is, what is your official opinion on the things that we have said about Blitz and our just current, like,
All right. So when Blitz approached me last night, he I don't actually know that much about the intelligence agency. It's something I want to restore during my second term, but as you guys kind of know, I didn't really do much like the second half of my second term.
Oh, no.
It was something I want to get to eventually down the line, like actually like restoring the intelligence agency because it's a useful tool to have. The only problem is I couldn't find people that actually want to be a part of that. So I don't actually know much about how it currently works because it's really secretive. Blitz hasn't told me anything about it.
I could
So,
ask him. I could
so
ask
you're-
him directly because
virtually
the fact
Blitz's
that I am technically his
controlling-
mother and
virtually
so,
Blitz's
so
way of
in all honesty, you're
politics.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if on Holly you're like cutting out horribly.
Sorry, it's basically Blitz's way of controlling the politics and what he knows
Because
about it.
what he did is he kind of quietly made this group called, because there's now the Oceanum Intelligence Agency is split into two groups now. It's now called the Department of Security, and you have the Oceanum Security Group, which is something that like nobody, I don't think Unholly knows any more than I do about them. Where
Yeah.
it is just like the
Yeah,
secret police that even the prime director knows nothing about.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
I would know
I'm
about.
sorry.
Okay.
And I
Okay,
would be
when I
honest
get
with
my
you, I
hands on
feel
that
like he would
map-
just slowly. Fan, I think you're a good leader. I think that without Blitz, I would vote for you. No offense on Holly.
So, yeah, that's fine.
I think
Honestly,
I think everyone here is a great leader, personally. I can Fan, me and Holly. I think we're all great choices, even though I'm technically not running anymore. But
Wait, then why are you?
what? But what?
Server owner
I
moment.
feel like one of the things that Blitz is going to do in SPD is he's going to continue to centralize his power. It's going to be a repeat of the Atana situation. They were already plotting to make a dictatorship. I can just see
I
it now.
could.
Yeah,
He's
I
already
mean,
moving
I
to
have a
run the
couple
election.
ways that I haven't planned to deal with him.
He's moving to run the election organization that the directors or the people know nothing
I mean,
about.
there is literally this. He laid out this document and tried to have the directors vote on it, and
Oh,
convinced. He
what?
almost got majority until I convinced Unholly to not vote for it, in which it is literally the Oceanum Security Bureau, which none of us know anything about, vets the people running for prime director. And if they say no, then that person can't run. There is no oversight. There is nothing except just them saying this person cannot run. And then they
Yeah.
won't be allowed to. Right? Like, I'm sorry.
His
And
organization is new
Yeah,
enough so that it is a
virtually
house of
like
cards easily tipped over.
yeah,
I
it's
could
virtually
probably do
like
it by myself.
it's like if you let the Senate run the U.S. elections, like a Republican run the U.S. elections. Like
like
it's just
yeah. Well, no, what it is you're going to the CIA or the NSA and being like, "Hey, guess what? You
All
get
right.
to choose who you want to
I kind of
run,"
get your
and then
explanation.
like
Once I get into office, all right. Once I get into office, if I find proof that he's actually doing any of these things, he's out. All right. Oodles
All right,
is by far really close to that position. I
I
can
would
always
like to.
make him my SPD. If I find any proof that he's doing any of this shit, he's out. All right. I
All
will.
I shall
send
say
you
is this.
I
this
didn't know any of these problems existed with the intelligence agency, which is I'm really glad that you brought these up because
I'd like
now
to.
I actually want to reform that. It's one of the things I'm going
And
to be reforming. So thank you.
yeah, I
Okay,
All
already
right.
had
and
that under my
one thing I do want to bring up is your guys'
bro.
appointment, or at least attempted appointment to the External Affairs Commission, because I believe that Blitz approached, or at least as far as I know, I haven't seen the DMs. But Blitz seemed to approach Slimepig and asked him to be his foreign affairs, which I definitely don't agree with because Slimepig. No offense
As
to you, but
well,
you don't
man.
have very much experience with, not a lot of experience with external affairs,
and
and,
He's a good
and any-
scribe, but not a good
yeah,
political leader.
yeah.
Also, I wanted to say something.
Slime Pig
I
has
feel like
literally
that would just slow down the government's external
I
moves.
would
So
like
like,
to
Slime Pig.
comment
Yeah,
on
I
political.
can.
I've been trying to do so. No matter who wins here, if it is me or somebody else, I will probably deal with him in a in a quite friendly manner. Mostly because of the fact that he, he can fucking stop me from knocking on his door in lore and like out of lore, because the fact that like we're directly connected fucking in lore, so I could easily like at the very least tell him to be a bit more public about it. If he's actually doing some shady shit, I'm reporting that shit immediately. He might be my son, and I would recognize it as him just doing a very smart political move, but it is inconvenient to me in many ways, and to the entirety of Oceanum, actually. So I would still likely be able to do it. This is completely outside of the debate, just it is a thing that I will help whoever wins this.
yeah,
The main
I want to
reason
bring up
that
that Slime himself even said that he's good at being an internal scribe, but he's not good at external affairs. So I
yeah
feel that an appointment of
Blitz is
Slime could
trying to. Okay,
weigh
what I
down the
can
government.
tell, Blitz is trying to do fast political moves, well, new people, like fresh faces, to show up. But he's putting the wrong fresh faces. Let's just say that.
All right,
I can. Yeah, I can
I want
definitely.
to establish something real quick. The main reasons that I made my SPD, first, it's because he's a good compromise person. I mean, we in the Liberal coalition, he's the leader of his party. I'm the leader of my party. It only makes sense to have us running on a dual ticket.
I'm technically the
It's a
best
good
fucking.
compromise between both of our parties.
I'm
I don't
Um,
see
technically
s-
the
why you
best
uh,
didn't. Why
compromiser.
didn't
I
you
chose
take?
him because Oodles agreed that we shouldn't have an inactive SPD like we have.
Why
And
didn't you take
he
Ekin then?
essentially stated, okay, I might not be as active, so you might as well just choose Blitz because he's going to be active. I need an
Why?
advisor. Blitz is a good advisor. He knows what he's talking about.
You do realize I both fucking.
Yeah,
Alright, whatever.
I don't understand why you didn't take Ekin then because he
I'm part of all of
is
the parties, man.
And has proven
Literally.
himself to be capable. You could have
he's
picked
the
any capable person, but you
and
chose Blitz, who was already centralizing his power.
I'm
He
going to
wasn't
give
aware of it.
I'm gonna give Fant, yeah, definitely I'm gonna give Fant the benefit of the doubt. Um
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I was just looking at Emo's
Oh,
messages
also, I'd like to
on
say
Communicator. But
any.
anyway, what about on the problem of the Constitution?
Okay.
All right.
Probably,
I
The thing
want
with
the
the
Constitution is in limbo.
Constitution. Oh shit! I'm getting.
Constitution is in
There's so
limbo
many
right now.
pings today.
Neither side has proposed a constitution, so yeah, neither side has
what?
proposed a constitution, and the
All right.
constitution that
All
we
right.
had is
I'm
declared
gonna
nonsense.
say what I
Constitution
need to
will be
say.
made. All right. This
Ekans, I'm
is.
speaking. I
Sorry.
am
Sorry.
speaking. I'm going to say I'm going to say something. I thought what we had with the other constitution that I ratified that was made by Botso, um, I think I think that had a lot of issues, mainly with the magistrate. I'm going to cut that part out. I'm going to do what you guys did with the Senate because I was looking over it. I really like that. I'm going to keep that in. And I'm going to be recruiting everyone from the party to try and pitch in because last time when I tried to do a constitutional convention, only like Slime Pig showed up, and that essentially fucked over the magistrate process because we didn't catch many of the issues that we would have caught if we had, say, like everyone from each of the parties working on it.
All
So
right.
I want to make a compromise with that because the
All right.
Constitution is something that's going to be implemented into
Important.
our country that's going to last in our country for months, assuming something like Othner doesn't happen. So it's something that we need to be strong so we don't end up fucking ourselves with the magistrate having like way too much power. All right, you can
Man,
speak now.
there's one problem
Okay.
with that, and that's sorry,
Uh huh.
there's one problem with that, and that is what's the name? Blitz has already proposed legislation that will make it that the PD can appoint the directors, right? And
He
that goes
proposed it. It doesn't mean we're gonna pass it. All right.
I would
yeah,
like
that
to say
it's
Just because he
passed. It
proposes
looks
something
like it's
doesn't mean we're
passed.
gonna pass it.
It looks
Also,
like it's
aren't you like the current PD? You can definitely stop that if he tries to pass it before I get into office.
it's
Technically,
have voted against
uh,
it.
technically,
uh
everybody voted. I think it was literally besides on Holly and me. Everyone voted for like something that made it so it was just general, like majority among the directorate passes any law, and like that
All
was
right.
that because that was that this is the provisional. We're technically not even a republic currently. We're a provisional government until we ratify a constitution, and so
I'd
it's going
like
to be.
to say
Yeah. What's up, Ekans?
specifically. One of the main problems that you had with the Constitutional Convention, I think, can be fixed quite easily if if we put, let's say, something that we find in the Constitution as an iffy idea or an idea that we think that the people should get a say on, and outright give them a vote or give the mayors and the current directors a vote on it. I don't know, because we are the provisional government. I don't know which is better, giving the directors and mayors and senators votes
Also,
or just all of the people.
this is more an aesthetic focus. Would you guys consider changing titles, like the titles of the directorate?
Mm,
I never actually spoke on that, so I can't really answer this question.
I do not
I
care much
personally
for
think the names as they are fine.
I don't know. I do
names.
think that we could use some more pizzazz and stuff like the mayor and like Oceanum Marine roles or something. Like you've got groups like calling them like I can't even pronounce the word that as Corian calls their soldiers and stuff. Like so I don't know. I think it'd be interesting if we started calling like mayors petitions or something like that. Like even if it gives them no new power, but adding some extra pizzazz does a number in keeping people active because I've learned the fun way that when you have a name that you can't pronounce, you like it more. That's my official opinion.
I am gonna make like a fucking language for Nerf Oceanum, so I could make some wacky shit. Like this is completely out of lore. I just wanted to make like an entire language, like talking
Yeah,
shit.
no, Keyboard, I definitely like where you're coming from with that. The main
Yeah.
reason I kept around the Marines is because it's kind of historic. Like it's always been like that. But I
Yeah.
see where you're coming from. Like I definitely think it could use a new name. I'm sure of it. We could probably come up with something better. I haven't been thinking about it much, so I mean I can't say anything now. I don't have any suggestions now. but definitely somewhere down the line, yeah, we could work on that.
Wait,
and
there's accusations from a man that is currently having a stroke that you got Altera
Yeah,
to
show
die.
what he's doing, but accusing Fant of killing Altera?
Wait, what?
He's currently
Where?
dying on the floor, but that's besides the point.
Hello?
Where?
Show, okay.
uh,
Announcements.
Fancy K for killing Altera.
Hello?
Hello.
What?
I
Fat,
could have
Fat, what do
killed
you have to
Altera.
say? Fat,
I
why
definitely
did you
could have
kill
killed
Altera?
Altera if I wanted to. I wouldn't have made the dukedom of Altera if I wanted them to die.
Also,
I honestly don't know what he means by that.
Also, why did you call them the
Totally
Duke?
killed
It's
Altera
like
by making
completely
them more
unrelated.
Oh, there
Why
was
did
a
they-
contract between the two
Why
of
did
them.
they call themselves the dukedom? It's a duchy, and it makes me so irrationally angry.
No,
Like,
they wanted a cool name.
dukedom isn't a word, though. Duchy is.
They made up a word.
Uh,
But it's even worse because Samora did the exact same thing. Like,
Yeah.
that.
I don't know. It's
Oh.
what Firelord
This is a
wanted.
suggestion by Fireboy that he just came in with.
Uh-huh.
This is a thing that also is in a bunch of the other censuses. Do we have like a thing that asks what do you think is the biggest problem in Oceanum? In our census?
That, I
If
think that
not,
we should.
let's
We
add
could
it.
do that.
Yeah,
When I
I
bring
think-
back
we
the
definitely
census,
could.
when I bring back the census, I want to add a few more questions that kind of gauge
Yeah.
like the general interests of the population. Now that we have parties, that's something that we never had before. I think I'll make a question about like interest in parties, perhaps. I don't know. It,
Alright.
it might be an invasion of privacy.
I will ask.
We can
You could
always
just,
go
you could
over
just
this.
put like refuse to answer for like one of them, and then
You
just
should-
have the rest as like the parties that you want to join or whatever.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I agree with
Okay.
that.
Additionally, if parties create factionalism that ignores much of the direct policies that people are making, I will be pissed. Currently, they're not doing that because each party is basically
Exactly the same.
Kinda
now that
mixed.
now that the
Yeah.
Federation thing is like gone, that was literally
It is
the only
exactly.
reason the NPO was like basically formed.
Yeah. If
Was
they
because-
actually become divided and create and only serve for factionalist reasons, then I'm
I mean-
pulling the gun. I don't care if I'm PD or not. They're going to disappear. I'll
Oh,
say
well,
that.
factionalism typically starts when like there's massive disagreements in a nation. Right now, or between the parties. Right now, that's just small disagreements, like the Ascorian issue was before.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some other things that like if we want to deep into
Yeah,
the
no,
nitty gritty
I mean-
that would be like we disagree with, but like the nationalism. I mean, sorry, the national party of Oceanum is just freedom. Keep Oceanum free, and that's about it. Or like, self-determination is like basically it. And you guys agree with that, so.
The thing with the whole federation idea, I didn't want to like actually add that to my campaign. I didn't even want to like do it because it was really early in the planning. Like the night before I made my campaign promise, that was when Millie like originally proposed it. It's such a new idea that I shouldn't have said anything about it. And now that I hear all the backlash from everyone, I kind of understand my mistake there. So that's not going to be something I'm going to be solely running on. And we're going to be focusing internally and developing our alliances. That's going to be the primary goal of my primary goal of my term. Sorry.
Do you think you're gonna drop it though? Like that's something that I want to know because
Oh, also,
Or are
Fan-
you gonna revisit the idea and refine it? And
Well,
then
Since
if something like,
technically-
all right,
Alright.
we'll still talk about it. We'll still certainly talk about it, but it's not something I consider necessary anymore. It's not something I'll even consider that we should do like as a thing because as it stands, we don't really know much about it. We only have like basics of it planned. So it's still something that we're going to be discussing, of course. But if something like
As a back burner
how the
issue.
UF and Araka came up, like if something with like say like the USSC is trying to like get involved in this, I'm pulling out because
Pulling the
that's
plug
kind of
is-
what got us out of the UF to begin with. And we learned that it was essentially just Nexus's vassals. So I'm glad we pulled out of that. Yeah, no, I definitely think a federation's a risky venture, and I wish I learned that earlier, so I didn't put that in my campaign promise and compromise a bunch of votes I could have gotten. But for now, it's on the back burner, and indefinitely it will be on the back burner.
One question I do have for you is, if you do win, are you gonna, or Akin, this is you too, are you gonna continue the Jade Sodality, which is basically that Neo SDA that I was building?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
no, definitely I will,
definitely.
because I saw what you proposed in it, and I really like it. It seems like a good idea to me.
I
It
like
seems
it
like
as
the
well.
SDA, except one, it's not going to be